Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is, wherever you are. Thank you for watching the Backlog Busting Project and listening to the Backlog Busting Project, because this is the podcast. My name is Wes. With me, as always, is Randy. And
I'm here.
We once again are joined by a special guest this episode, Sean Garmer of the WTM Network. Whole bunch of podcasts. All of them good. All of them to the max. And wrestling... Oh, God. God damn it! This is the running gag. I will never remember all of them. You would think I would write this shit down eventually, but, you know, that would be professional.
Yeah, just have it as a teleprompter there for you. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We're gonna start, as we always do, with Player Nay. And the first game on the list is the Doom reboot, simply titled Doom, coming out for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on May 13th. Developed, of course, by id Software and published by Bethesda. And basically, I've just kind of recapped it all right there. It's the reboot of one of the most classic first-person shooter games of all time. It was like pretty much the archetype for what a first-person shooter should be for a while. It was basically one of the centerpieces of Bethesda's E3 conference last year. And I don't know what to think about it, because I did watch some of the open beta gameplay when Carnage played this game. But, oh man... I just... Something doesn't sit right with me, still. So, I'm gonna go very slight nay on this.
Yeah, I'm with you, Wes, as far as the uncertainty of how I feel about the game. I remember when E3 came around, the girlfriend and I both were really excited about it. We're, both pumped. Like, oh, when this game comes out, we're definitely playing it. And then, as things kind of went along, you started to hear things. It was, well, maybe they're going to screw it up. I'm not sure. But then, I mean, you know me, I talk about it sometimes, where the internet reactions are always over the top. So, like, obviously the internet completely hated some of the things that have been released and the demos and the betas and all of that. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to listen to that. We'll see how things go. But I know my hype level has definitely gone down since E3. But it's still probably going to be a play for me. I enjoyed most of the Doom games that have ever come out. So for a new iteration to show up is great. I almost just want to play it just to see if we can find Easter eggs, because you know that there's going to be tons in the Doom game. Yeah. Even maybe some old school levels hidden in there. So yeah, with playing Wolfenstein, when we very first started this podcast, actually, I think that was a test.
Actually, podcast. yeah, Wolfenstein was one of the test episodes.
So we never even released it. But playing Wolfenstein and that old school game becoming new and it actually working extremely well, I'm in it for Doom. So I'll say play.
Although I will interject. Actually, I remember that episode. It was actually the same episode the Eco HD footage came from, or audio. There we go.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you just wanted to bring back Eco?
Yeah.
Hotline
Sure.
Miami, asshole. Sean, what do you think of this game?
I think what's telling here, guys, is that they're not releasing this to reviewers before the game comes out.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's not a good sign at all if they're not even... Like, not even releasing code?
Adamant, no one is getting a copy before release date. No one. So, to me, that says they're a little bit worried about this game, because if you want people to know how good it is, you tell them beforehand, right? Like everybody else does. I mean, look at Uncharted, it's got like a 96 right now on Metacritic. I mean, so... I think they're worried about something here. I heard, if I remember right, the multiplayer beta did not get received that well. Look, to me, this is one of those things, kind of like Call of Duty. I'll play the single player, but I'm not going to buy it at launch, so I'll say nay. I'll wait till it's about $30, $20, something like that, and then I'll get it.
Yeah, I'm with Sean there. If I'm buying Doom, it's for the single player. I'm not a huge multiplayer shooter kind of a person, so mine would be for the single player experience as well. So I'm probably with him where I wait for the price to go down.
Yeah, to go back to something you said earlier about your hype level dying down, mine's done that too. And if you remember last year at E3, I was one of the sole people on like any of the podcasts we did with Sean and the group at the WTM Network. I was one of the sole people on the panel who was like, I'm not too sure about this. Everybody else was like, oh my god, new Doom, yeah! And I was like, and my hype has only gone down since then, so it's just kind of like, I'm not even sure I want to play it for the single player. But then again, I didn't play a lot of the original Doom, so...
You youngin'.
One of the few times I can feel young anymore.
It's true.
Well, no, like the other day, some of my coworkers at my day job were, discussing how old they were, and one of them said, "Yeah, I'm only 19," and I'm like, "Oh, fuck you." Yeah.
Trust me.
Or I was born in 1994 or something like that. It came up in a way where I just sat there and I was like, I remember that year. Screw you. Yeah.
I work at sort of the same type of job you do, Wes, and I have the same issue where, it's, luckily for me, there's a lot of older people that work there too.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get all these young people that start working there, I'm like, man, I feel old right now.
Yeah. Talking about like high school graduation or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like, hey, my 10-year reunion's this year.
I'm like,
my 10 years reunion is this year, and I got guys talking about, yeah, my graduation party last year was so sick, and I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. But anyway, onwards from the three people feeling old show to the next game on Player A, which is Homefront: The Revolution, coming out for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Wow, that sounds familiar. On May 17th. Developed and published by Deep Silver. This one's kind of interesting because it's kind of one of the last remaining, I'd probably say, vestiges of THQ. Because this game was one of the games that was in development, at THQ funded studios when THQ went down like the sinking ship that it was. And it's one of the only ones I can remember that still has not come out yet. I could be misremembering that, but if I am, I'm sure I'll put it in the show notes eventually, or somebody will tell me. Anyway, this is kind of a third-person cover shooter, kind of, from the looks of it. Kind of looks like it's very similar to the original Homefront, which is set in an alternate reality where Korea takes over the United States. And it's... The first game wasn't all that good. And, people saw some good in it, but it wasn't really well received. And then this came out, and it kind of started to generate some buzz, but I still don't kind of get it. So I'm gonna go nay on this one too. I kind of have to question how it got bought out, how it survived THQ.
Well, you said it right there. It's a THQ property. It's a generic shooter. I'm out. Nay.
Oh, that's succinct.
Yes.
This is a game that's had a lot of developmental problems. It got almost canceled at one point. They had to do all the stuff you said, Wes. I mean, I know that they took a lot of time. This is also the one where they had the company, didn't pay their people for a while. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to wait. I'm going to say nay. I have to wait for reviews and all that. It's not one that I'm too sold on right now.
Yeah, that's about where I am on it too. I mean, if the reviews come out and they go, wow, this is amazing, and all that good stuff, yeah, maybe. But until then, Randy put it best. It's a generic shooter with a I guess I'll give them credit that the premise does sound kind of interesting. That that whole alternate reality where the U.S. isn't as invincible as it's always portrayed to be in fiction. Is kind of interesting. But the rest of it, I'm just kind of like all sorts of red flags going off. So
I will give it credit. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to play it, but I think as far as the release date is concerned, they found a good home for it. I mean, the excitement for the Division has kind of died down, and so I think Homefront is trying to take that place. Unfortunately, there's a game that we're going to be talking about here soon where that's where all the excitement is going.
Well, knowing what games we're talking about, I think that's kind of a reach there, because they're pretty different games, much like Overwatch. Spoiler alert. Homefront is different from The Division, as well as the game I almost just spoiled. But
but I'm not saying that they're the same kind of game, but they're played by the same kind of crowd.
He has a point there.
Heck yeah, he probably does.
And to my point, the large group of friends that I have at work that continue to harass me to play The Division, which I kept telling them no.
Yeah.
Have all said that, well, we're about done with The Division. Overwatch is coming out, and that's where we're going. So that whole group is converted.
Yeah.
Plus in The Division having so many problems and stuff right now.
The Division, oh my goodness. The amount of problems I've heard about The Division with, like, some of the pre-patch, or not pre-patch, like, pre-patch and post-patch that they released, with all the hacking and exploits, and it's just like, those are not good words to be throwing around in an online gear-based shooter, or a online gear-based game of any kind, like, Diablo 3, which thankfully does not have those sorts of issues from what I've seen on PC. It has all sorts of issues on the console versions, but if you're playing Diablo on a console, you're doing it wrong.
What? Speak for yourself, man. Speak for yourself on that one.
Yeah. But, so, next game on the list is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan, which is releasing, as I so helpfully put on the show notes for the Shake of Space, on fucking everything. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, Xbox One, Xbox 360, PC. I'm pretty sure it's coming out for the fucking N-Gage. Yeah.
That's still out there somewhere.
Yeah, the taco phone itself, the side taco.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh my lord. Game coming out May 24th, developed by Platinum Games and published by Activision. This game was one of the worst kept secrets for a long time, because I remember every other day before it finally was officially announced, Kotaku would have some story about, oh hey, remember that game, that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game we're not supposed to know about yet, that's made by Platinum? Knowing every single detail about the game before it was officially announced. And that's pretty much all I've heard about it. But seeing as how it is Platinum, and they have kind of had decent luck with the licensed games, like I've heard the Legend of Korra game they did was pretty good. And plus, Platinum being Platinum, because they've made some pretty decent titles. Vanquish, as much as Randy isn't going to agree with me on this one, Revengeance. Insert picture of Broken DualShock 3 here. I'm cautiously optimistic, so I guess I'm going to go with a very slight play here, even though I haven't followed the Ninja Turtles in a while.
I was all in to be a play, and then you had to say that these are the same people that made Revengeance, and now I'm torn. No, it's a play for me. Listen, I have a 7-year-old son. He's very much into Ninja Turtles, so even if I didn't want to play this game, I will be playing this game. But I am also a fan of the Ninja Turtles, and I do like what I have seen from this game. Cell shading games kind of got old after a while because everyone was doing them in the PS2 era.
Yeah.
But now, it's nice to see that every so often, and it fits with this game, and I like that they're bringing back a lot of the old baddies, and they're making it kind of nostalgia feeling, kind of like what the second Turtles movie is trying to do. Where they went, okay, we know we goofed up on the first one, but here, Bebop and Rocksteady and Krang. Have fun.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested in it. We'll see how it goes. It could completely tank, but there have been some decent Turtles games out there. I know. I have a son. We buy them. So, it's a play for me.
I don't watch the TV show, but I have liked the Turtles, the way they've Nickelodeon has really done a great job of redoing them and making them a big deal again. I'm actually one of those that liked the first movie. I know that's probably like not a popular opinion.
No,
but,
I'm with you. I mean, it had its flaws, but I thought it was an okay movie.
To be clear here,
Right.
we're talking about the Michael Bay movies, right?
Yes.
Okay.
yes, the one movie. Yes.
Yes.
Hey, the originals. You can't ever hate that.
Yeah, no. That's why I was like, hold on a minute.
You can hate the third one.
True.
Yeah, that's true. You can hate their one.
The third one is not allowed in my house.
LOL at that, and then wow, I just said LOL out loud. Kill me now. But I just spotted in the Twitch chat, because we're recording these live on Twitch nowadays. Nightbot just plugged the very podcast you're listening that is being recorded right now. I really need to adjust that command.
Product placement within the product.
Right?
Inception. Blah. Oh my god.
I'll just say a play for me on the Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright. So that brings us to the last game on the Player Nay, which we kind of discussed a little bit already. It's Overwatch, releasing for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC on May 24th. Developed and published by Blizzard.
Before, Wes, you get into this game, I just want to say that I'm really sad that the internet has just ignored this game. That nobody's been talking about this game.
Yeah.
The hype train hasn't got it even started on it. Nobody's heard about this game at all.
I mean, to the point of even killing another game that came out a week ago. That's
Well,
similar
to be fair, Battleborn had issues without Blizzard deciding to shit in Gearbox's Cheerios. But because you cannot tell me that Blizzard did not time the open beta of Overwatch simply to go, oh, you have Battleborn releasing
Oh, they did,
on
but
this
Randy
weekend?
Pritchford thinks he's an actually good developer. That's where he's wrong.
Dang, son.
Whoa.
We're going in hard on Gearbox right now. Dang.
I'm sorry, Borderlands is not that great of a game. So
Whoa!
the best Borderlands is a Tales from Borderlands, and it wasn't made by Randy Pritchford.
Whoa!
So
Popcorn
Sean,
ready.
It was nice having you.
Get the fuck off my show.
Why didn't you like Borderlands? Did you not play it?
no, I don't mind Borderlands. It's just not that great of a game. I think it gets overrated a lot. That's what I'm saying.
No, okay, I can see that. Borderlands was one of those games that was really fun when I played with a few friends. Playing it by myself, which is what I had to do with
Well,
Borderlands
it's
2.
Diablo, so of course it is. It's Diablo shooter.
I got it. Yeah. I'm with you there. Overrated, I'll get, but don't go after it. I liked the first Borderlands.
Anyway.
I'm just saying, I cared more about the characters in the Tales from the Borderlands games than I cared about any of the 8 characters in the other 2 games.
Let's steer the ship back into Ritalin Bay here, folks. Yeah, yep, that's Claptrap. Thanks, Randy.
Hey, Claptrap, I'm not gonna hate on that.
But, anyway, so Overwatch is a 6-on-6 competitive team shooter, from Blizzard Entertainment, with, it's character-based, 21 different characters, all with unique abilities, to choose and play as, with several different game types, including, payload escorting, King of the Hill-like mode, and, an objective attack mode. I've been playing the open beta of this a lot. I played the stress test weekend a lot.
I know.
It's a Blizzard game. I've been enjoying myself. Play.
Yeah,
Nothing
this
wrong with
is Blizzard's version of Team Fortress 2. And it seems like that's what Blizzard's been doing a lot lately, over at least the last few years, where it's basically, hey, this genre is great. Let's put our take on it. And then they nail it out of the park.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't play a lot of them. I'm just now getting a little bit more into PC gaming. I finally bought a PC chair, so, I don't kill my back sitting there trying to play them. But I will fully admit that every time that Blizzard comes out with a new genre game, it's usually one of the best games in that genre.
Yeah.
Overwatch seems like it's that to the character-driven team shooter games. So it's a play for me. I'll probably play it with you and Mark. You guys have been getting on me about playing it. I'm not playing the beta, but I'll probably play the full game.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been really into this. I'm not a big person that likes to play things on the computer, so sue me.
You're totally sued. Get off my stream. No.
But I'm probably gonna, if I get it, I'll get it for the console, just because that kind of multiplayer game it doesn't work for me on the computer. I'm already gonna die enough. I don't need to die any faster. So, I mean, this is gonna be fun. It's like Blizzard's first, new brand in like forever.
17 years.
I really loved all the trailers and everything coming up to it. Because the beta's on the PC, I'm not playing it, but, I'll gladly play it on console.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it was available on Xbox One and PS4 as well.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it was available on the rest. I just never did it.
Ah, damn. I thought it was PC only. Oh, well.
Yeah. But because Brown Man, a Twitch streamer, was playing it earlier on, and his stream specifically said Xbox One and it had the Xbox One button prompts on it, so.
Oh, dang.
But, no, this game, I am not usually a fan of shooters, but I've been playing the hell out of this game. Yeah. Which, speaks to my Blizzard fanboyism, because if it had not been Blizzard, I probably would not have tried it.
So why do you like it a lot?
Blizzard, number one, because they knock, like Randy said, they knock it out of the park with anything. They seem to knock it out of the park with anything they try. Like, they've long been the master of the RTS ever since the original the original Warcraft, much less StarCraft and Brood War. Hearthstone is killing it. Heroes of the Storm's getting there. And then this one just seems like it's, well polished. I haven't really run into any issues where I think that it's a balance issue rather than, me just sucking out loud at the game. But it also makes you feel like you're contributing, even if you're absolutely terrible. Which, again, like I just said, I will never claim to be super, amazing at shooter games, but there have been several times where I've made a huge play and turned around the game, and I've been like, I just did that? Heck, on today's stream there were several times where, I thought I had the play of the game, because Overwatch has this thing where at the end of each round, it chooses a play that happened during the game, based on, like, algorithms, etc., to be the play of the game, and it replays it. And there were several times where I thought, wow, I just cleared that point, and that should be play of the game, and I was proven wrong, and I actually got angry. It's like, and I think that speaks to, I'm actually starting to get into the sort of gameplay a little bit, because if you had told me a month ago that I would have been pissed off because I didn't get play of the game in a competitive team shooter, I would have called you batshit insane. But, I am now, and I'm having fun. Oh, look at all the hardcore running into that I just did. Speaking of running, I need to get on that, because the mile I'm supposed to be running for raising money during Extra Life is coming up on my birthday. Yes. In 2 months. But so pretty solid slate of Player Nay games there. Go ahead, Sean, sorry.
Are you trying to remind someone it's your birthday or something?
No. It's just we chose that date as the deadline, and out of a hat, and yeah, I
You'll do it.
Well, no, I'm just sitting there going, we live in an area where it gets up to 100 degrees by that time of year, and I'm already sunburnt. Yeah.
No, Wes, listen, you're either doing it at 6 in the morning or at 9 at night. We're not going to do it at noon or 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Where I'm trying to do this where the situation will still work out for you, where we're not going to raise the stakes.
Yeah.
Oh, come on! You need to
Will
do
this
it.
420-pound man die of heat stroke before he completes a mile?
Exactly. You need to have like a film of him just in cold sweat making it like to the 1 mile mark. You know, that's what you need.
No, because I have to get him at least close to that mile mark so I can trip him.
You just don't want to be the reason that he like passes out after you trip him. Okay.
Yeah. And once I trip him, if he goes down into a heat stroke, I'm not going to be able to pick him back up and take him to the hospital.
Wow. True friendship here on the Backlog Busting Project. Right then, that's player name for this episode. Let's move right along so we can finish this episode and I can hang up on these assholes. No. The co-play game for this episode was Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, developed and published by Square Enix, originally released for the Game Boy Advance on November 11th, 2004, re-released...
Bam.
Ah, yes, Game Boy Advance cartridge. Yeah! Re-released as part of the 1.5 HD collection on PlayStation 3, March 14, 2013. Visual aids. Yeah!
Look at that. I'm ready.
Yep. This is a card-based action art, like almost. It's almost like it's got an active battle system with cards, and it's a little confusing to explain, which is pretty much Kingdom Hearts.txt. But the thing with this game, though, I guess we'll just address the elephant in the room right away. None of us finished this game for this playthrough for this episode. And, I guess in my case, I was still enjoying the storyline because I actually went up and I looked at a Let's Play of the game and, read through it and I was like, wow, this is an interesting storyline. It's just a shame the gameplay just never engaged me whatsoever because, basically, it picks up almost immediately where Kingdom Hearts 1 left off. Sora, Donald, and Goofy are chasing after Pluto and run into this strange castle called Castle Oblivion. And everything in Castle Oblivion works off cards for some reason. Like you form new floors by using a world card, and when you go into the world card, and it's based off of Sora's memories, because that's a massive theme of this game, oddly enough, is memory. You have to form different rooms with cards you win off the enemies, and even your actions are determined by a deck of cards that you scroll through, and then when you press the attack button, you use the card you have selected. And it sounds engaging and entertaining, and I'm sure it was okay as a Game Boy Advance game, like that you could, play in short bursts. But sitting here trying to play it on stream on the PS3, I sat here in silence a lot of the time simply because I didn't want to sit here and just shit all over the game. Because I try not to do that unless the game actively pisses me off. And this game didn't. It was just disappointing. Yeah. Because I was like...
I remember playing this on the GBA years and years ago and getting near the end and before getting stuck. So I was excited, when this got voted on, by our audience that this was the game we're going to play. I'm like, cool, I can finally sit down, I'm going to finish this game. And I turned it on, and I was playing it on the 1.5 version, which I think all three of us did, and it just did not work. I remember that system working better on the GBA, and you would think that it would translate over, but it just didn't. And I honestly think in the end it's because to do a card battle system like this, but then have the action going on off to the side, messes with your brain. Where it's like, I'm playing Kingdom Hearts. You're gonna go up there and you're gonna hack and slash and you're gonna use magic and you're gonna do all this. Fast action is going on, but then you need to take your time, use the right cards at the right time, wait for them to put up a card, and then put a card that has a higher number on it, and so you can break the card. So it's a conflict between the two styles of gameplay. It's like you want to move fast and have all this action, but then you have the strategy involved. And I think it would have worked far better if they would have just went one way or the other. where it's just a card game or it was just an action game. And I was thinking about it, thinking, well, they went with the card-based system because it was a GBA, and, you know, obviously it's going to have limitations compared to the PlayStation 2. So that's why they did it. But you go back and look at it, and there's a lot of action going on that they could have just made it an action game. Obviously, do it where if you see an enemy on the main map, you hit it and it takes you into its own battle, as you do with the card game. But I don't know if the cards were that necessary, and I don't know if they really added anything wonderful to it in the end.
Yeah, I mean the card battle system's the problem. The major, and it's not just that too. I think it's the stuff with the rooms and having to go in every room, and then it feels like you're basically playing like a mini version of a level every time you go in, and it almost feels like it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. And at least with the the regular games and what you get to experience in the 3D version, the Dream Drop Distance or whatever, which is it's a regular Kingdom Hearts game, is at least you get to actually physically hit them, and it's fun, and you get to blast through, and you run through and beat the level or whatever. But it's just, with the cards, it's, okay, I've got to figure out if I want to do a slate right here, so I have to press whatever the button was.
I believe it's triangle to store on the PS3, the PS2 version.
To make the 3 cards show up at once. Yes, that is the Dream game. But, and then I've got to, okay, well, I want to keep attacking. It's a lot to go in. And then when you get to, like, the harder bosses, when you get to the Organization 13 stuff, it's like insanity going on, because you're trying to keep the person from killing you.
Yeah.
And, like, you only have so many cure items you get to, and it's too much going on at one screen.
And that's the one thing about this game, Sean, that I totally agree with you. It's like the difference between the regular battles and the bosses. Like, the regular battles, you can almost just hack and slash your way and just run through all your cards real quick and then reload, and it's not that bad. But then you get to a boss and it's a whole different story. Like, every card matters. I mean, you really have to go into it going, I'm doing this at this time, and messing with that. So it's just so difficult to get yourself into that mindset when it's to one level for the regular battles, and then when the bosses are, it's a whole different game.
Yeah, and then because then when they go up in number, it takes longer for it to reload, so you might get killed by the time you wait for the card to reload so you can get to the cure thing. And it's just, I understand what they were trying to do. You add strategy, and I don't know how I even got as far as I did at times. I did the same thing as you. When I had it for the original GBA, I got it really close to the end, and then I stopped for some reason or whatever it was. And I don't know how I got that far, because I look at it now and I'm like, how did I get past a certain boss without the guide telling me how to make my deck so that I don't die?
Yeah.
That's another thing too, is at some point you have to look up something to tell you what you need to have in your deck, because they eventually get to the point where they're specialized, which is fine. That's what you do in a card game, right? You make your deck so that you can beat these bosses, but it's that added element of, okay, I've got to run around and try to do this too, and it's a lot. It's just it's not, to me, the bigger thing is going through, and it feels like you're doing the same exact thing every time, every single world. At least in the actual games that are not the card game. I never played a lot of the 358 over 2 days that also has the card thing, to know if it's any different, but it's that, like, the monotony of, okay, you're going to go into this thing, there's part of the story. The other thing, there's part of the story. Oh, and here's the boss. Oh, and then there's all these other levels where you're basically just pounding on crappy enemies until you get to the boss. It's just, it doesn't feel that way in the regular game.
Yeah, Wes, I gotta ask you to see how you feel about it, but we had talked about it before we got live, that it didn't add that much as far as story. Obviously, it brings in the Organization 13 and stuff, but how it felt to me for the little bit that I replayed this, that especially after playing Kingdom Hearts 2, that you got the Organization 13 cutscene after each world,
right?
Which kind of added bits and pieces and about you're losing your memory, and then it's the introduction to the girl whose name I'm blanking on. Nominee, thank you. So, I mean, they do introduce things like that, but each world was, like, closed off. It starts off where they're, like, trying to remember stuff, and slowly they're losing their memories and stuff, but then you start going to the actual worlds, which most of them, if not all of them, you go to in Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how they remember all this stuff, but every time you go to a new world, it was never like, hey, Aladdin, how's it going? Oh, I don't know you. You don't? It was just, it started out that way, and then I got to like the third or fourth world, and it was like, just business as usual. Oh, who's that person over there? Oh, it looks like it's Alice. Who's Alice? He's like, you know Alice. You played with Alice in the first game. It just skipped over all that stuff. I don't know if it was part of the memory thing or what, but it was.
It's probably part of the memory thing, and another part of it is probably also the writing, kind of having to hide the fact that you can do the worlds in any order. Because
I can understand that. It was just every time you went to a world, it was basically a rehash of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
1.
the Kingdom Hearts 1 story, which looking on it from a story perspective, I can understand why a lot of the worlds were basically just, hey, remember the storyline we had in Kingdom Hearts 1? Well, here you're going to play it again, except in our card battle system with maybe a twist or two. It's just like, okay.
And I can understand why they didn't, like, I'm blanking right now whether there were worlds that were exclusive to Chain of Memories, like they debuted.
No.
I wouldn't think so, but I could understand that too, because it's a GBA title. They know that the sales were not going to be as big. So,
well, it's the first side game in that franchise, so there's part of it that they're banking on. If this flops, we didn't put too much into it to where we can't make a 2.
Yeah, I can get it. It was just, it's one of those things that we have to remember that this is just, as Sean just said, it's a side game. Like, we're not going to get as much story as we were thinking. I honestly kind of came back into this thinking there was going to be a lot more story, just because Kingdom Hearts 2 was so far out there that when we did do the podcast, Sean was like, well, you have to play Chain of Memories. So I'm like, all right, I'll play Chain of Memories again, and it's going to remind me of all the story stuff that I forgot. I'm like, no, not really.
Yeah.
To be fair,
I'm still very confused.
The later you get in the game, it's more organization heavy.
Yeah.
So you do get more of who Nominee is, what the organization is, all this other stuff. That when you start playing 2, you're like, who the hell's this? What are these people? Why are these that? But you have to go way into the game to get that.
So Wes, and I guess Sean too, the one thing I did notice in the beginning part of the game is the first or second organization member you meet, it's Axel, right?
Yeah.
And Axel is the one that remembers the other version of Sora.
Roxas, yeah.
Roxas. But he never brings up anything about Sora, I know the real you, or anything like that. Does he in this one? It didn't seem like he knew who Sora was. He just thought he was this guy that they were putting him through the test. Or am I missing something there?
That's not brought up until 2 when they made up the whole concept of the nobodies and all that.
That was it's like, I mean, playing these out of order does not make it any easier, but just the fact that 2 brings in the organization, but the nobodies don't exist, but the nobodies become a thing because of Nominee and to add in this Roxas stuff, but they don't hit at it at Chain of Memories, even though they're making Chain of Memories while they're making 2. I was like, this is going to be really cool to kind of see the evolution of this. And then it was like, an evolution of one storyline, and everything else we hadn't thought of yet.
Well, there is a line, like in one of the early organization cutscenes, there's a line where Axel says Sora became a Heartless, you know what happens to people who do that. And I thought that was hinting at the whole a Heartless and a nobody thing is created. So, and that's in the original Game Boy Advance version as well. It's not something they added for Rechain. Yeah. So, maybe, I guess, is kind of the answer I'll give, because, you know, really, that's about all the reaction I have for this game. Is just kind of Mm-hmm. I wanted so much to like this game because, you know, a few of the loyal viewers here on the Backlog Busting Twitch channel came to me simply because I was playing Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 on stream, and they were so excited when I went to go do Chain of Memories, and then I started doing Chain of Memories, and literally a lot of the gameplay is me just sitting there on camera like this, and my face is just like, no, I'm not having a good time here, you know. I mean, and I'm trying to get better about the whole dead air thing when I'm on stream. But if I'm having dead air, I want it to be because I'm enjoying the game, not because I'm sitting there going, I'm not enjoying myself, but I don't want to sit here and shit on a game that I know a lot of people like. You know?
See, I don't think that you should see it as, a lot of people like it, so I'm not going to sit. If you should actually want to show your true emotions for something. Like what we're doing here on this podcast. You don't like something, let people know why you don't like it.
Yeah. You know, and maybe it's just something that if I go back and try to play it a bit more like a Game Boy Advance game and, you know, only play it in short bursts instead of playing it for, you know, hours at a time on stream, maybe I'll start finding a bit more to like about it, but just, you know.
I will say the GBA game is a little bit more responsive, and if stuff happens, you can do stuff faster. It's, you know, there's a little bit of a delay there on the PS3 version. And also just that whole of it being handheld and getting to take it with you and, like you said, play it here, there, you know, whenever I've got 20 minutes, let's do this, you know, instead of, I've got to sit in front of my TV and I got to feel like I'm giving this thing time, you know, so, alright, and it's not the same as having it in the palm of your hand there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I've definitely learned as I'm getting older. I mean, Sean, you and I are both parents, so our time is limited, and it's usually very fractured. I mean, you find free time here and there. And I've learned that, like, as far as RPGs go, which is something I got into in my teenage years and kind of got away from and then got back into, that handheld is the way to go for RPGs. And I think that's the same with Kingdom Hearts, for the exact reason you said, where I got 20 minutes. Let me play a little bit. It's less of an ordeal to play a little bit of an RPG. That's why I made sure that when I finally got around to buying the Final Fantasy X-2 remastered version, I bought the Vita version because I want it in a handheld form so I can play it on my whim whenever I want, and I don't have to sit and load and do all of that. And I think that's kind of what hurt this as well, was just every time you would sit down to play it, it's like, well, I'm going to play this for like an hour or two, and then 20 minutes in, you're going, but I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, I want to go do something. That's the problem. Every time I sit down to play, I go, man, I really want to do something else.
Yeah.
And that's not a good sign for a game.
Well, it's not a good sign for a game, but it's especially not a good sign when I felt really bad that I hadn't beaten this game yet. So my plan was I was going to try to marathon it off stream because I finally gave up on trying to play it on stream because a few of the loyal viewers were like, I'm not watching again if you're playing Chain of Memories. Like, they literally came out in chat and said, I am not watching if you're playing Chain of Memories. And I said, I don't blame you. You know? I was going to sit here today and marathon this game. And I woke up this morning and I was like, well, I could play Chain of Memories, or I could clean my apartment, because my apartment is currently a hellhole. And it's just like, when you have a decision between doing something that's ostensibly supposed to be fun, and something that is not usually fun, and you choose to do the not fun thing, that says something for the quality of the thing that's supposed to be fun. You know? I didn't even think anything about it until I like sat down and I stood like getting ready to watch Randy finish streaming his game, which we'll get to here in a minute. I was sitting there and I was like, wow, it's already like whenever it was when you started streaming. I think it was like 4:00, and it's like it's 4:00 Pacific time, and I have not touched my PlayStation 3. Well,
So-
yeah.
Before we close the book on this game, there's something I gotta ask both of you, just as far as a gameplay element that I'm confused on, that I just never understood. So, premium cards. When I watched your stream, Wes, were getting premium cards and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Something I learned about premium cards, I don't know if they make them better if you turn them premium, but when I was playing it, if you make a card premium and you reload your deck, it's gone. If you use the premium card and you don't put it in a Scythe or whatever, that once you use it, it doesn't reload. Did you notice that at all?
Yeah, I did. I think, number one, I think it does increase the power of a card a little bit. I didn't play enough to test this, and I don't care. Yeah. And the number two, I wouldn't be surprised if you can trade in your old cards at the Moogle shops. I wouldn't be surprised if having it be premium increased the value of the card on trade-in. But again,
it's probably true. But my problem was that both of my healing cards turned premium. A few of my 9 attack cards I made premium before I realized that I screwed myself over pretty good. And then, okay, one last question, Wes, and Sean, you can answer it too, I guess. But we have a few games that we have now basically went, no, this is not happening. There's a few games we just didn't finish, time constraints or difficulty or anything like that. But this kind of goes, I think, in the pile of it's off the backlog just because it's not entertaining. So, Wes, Deus Ex Human Revolution or Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories? Which one would you rather play first?
oh Jesus, can I phone a friend? No. Wow,
Yeah,
who wants to be a
Sean
millionaire?
is right here.
Who wants to be a millionaire reference? Holy crap. Speaking of feeling old,
To be fair, at least that show still comes on.
yeah. I'd actually probably honestly have to say Human Revolution simply because...
Whoa!
Hold on a minute here. Simply because I actually, again, watched Co-Carnage play through it a little bit, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, that does look kind of interesting. Maybe I didn't give this game enough of a fair shake. But, honestly, I'm probably in the same position as Kingdom Hearts. I think, what's driving my answer right now is the fact that it's been a while since I thought about Deus Ex Human Revolution, whereas Kingdom Hearts is still fresh in my mind as ugh.
Well, I will keep that in mind our next April the 13th podcast.
April the 13th? You mean Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th. It could be April. I don't know when the next Friday the 13th is.
Speaking of which, we didn't explain that gimmick very much, did we? This is a Friday the 13th episode. It's the second one we've done during the run of the show. And what that means essentially is normally it's we both agree to co-play a game, and then we each choose our own game we play. For Friday the 13th episodes, we choose the other person's game, and then you guys choose our co-played game. And you guys chose Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories.
You guys did so much better the first Friday the 13th episode.
Yeah. Because they chose Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
Then again, the first episode vote was basically Donkey Kong Country, and then 4 other games that were kind of
Comic Zone is a good game.
Comic Zone, River City Ransom.
That's a good game.
Cameo Elements of Power.
I don't know about that game.
And then Battle Block Theater, I believe, was the 5th one.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, it was. I remember writing that candidate platform now, which I didn't do for this episode, like I said I was going to. Whoops. Anyway. But yeah. That's about...
You don't have to worry about Friday the 13th again until January 2017.
Nice. Friday. Oh, wow. That's I thought there was another one coming up this year.
No, we got no more in 2016, but we have 2 in 2017. I remember that.
Dun, dun, dun.
January and October.
Oh, October. I think I know what the theme for the October one's going to be then. If the project's still going by that point, because
Five
you never
Nights
know.
at Freddy's 1, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Oh. By then, there'll be Five Nights at Freddy's 10.
Yeah.
He says he's not making any more.
Well, no.
But since World was terrible, he's going to make more.
Well, here's the thing. He's actually announced, I think it's called Sister Location. He's making a new game in the universe that's called Sister Location or something like that.
Oh, God.
Scott Cawthon. Hold on. I love how I talked Scott C and he was the first thing that came up. Yeah. Go to scottgames.com and it's a splash page that says Sister Location. There was never just one, and it's a very much... Yeah, no, it literally says Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location. There was never just one.
Yeah, that's the new game, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, there you go. We'll have all of those. We'll have a ton of them to choose from.
And only 2.5 years after they were last relevant. Woo! We've got our fingers on the pulse here at the back.
You always play Outlast or something. No.
I love how I made that joke and then I was about to seriously suggest we think about putting Parasite Eve on there in some capacity. Even though I've beaten both of the actual good games in the Parasite Eve series. We don't talk about Third Birthday. Good.
No, don't talk about Third Birthday.
Oh my god.
You guys are giving me great Friday the 13th ideas, so I appreciate it.
You're welcome, jackass. Anyway, that is going to about cover it for Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, I think. Yeah. It's definitely a game in which things happened.
Are you sure? Are you sure things happened?
At some point, maybe. So, yeah. Let's move along, I guess, to Randy's game.
Yes.
Which was Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo. Released July 22nd, 2004 on the GameCube. And I will let Randy take it away from here.
Yeah, this is a game that, Wes, you've wanted me to play for a long time.
Yep.
The last Friday the 13th, you put it on there, but with doing the 2 football podcasts and watching all of the football games, I was like, don't give me an RPG. Just don't. I forget what I ended up playing. What did I end up playing on that Friday the 13th? Do you remember?
I don't off the top of my head, but I'll look it up while you're talking.
So I had you push it back to this one, and it was pretty interesting because we had me play Super Mario RPG for the 1 year anniversary. So playing 2 Mario RPGs was a task, but I do have to say I think I actually enjoyed this one more than I did Super Mario RPG. And with that said, I did very much enjoy Super Mario RPG. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is very much a very generic, very simplified RPG where there's not as many tasks that you have to do. There's not as many spells and stuff that you have to learn. It's just straight up you and an ally jumping and hitting other enemies and knocking their hit points down to 0 before yours go down to 0. It's very simplified, and I was actually okay with it. I was thinking after a while I was going to get bored, but they do a wonderful thing of having the kind of like Legend of Dragoon, where you have the mid-attack button commands.
Mm-hmm. Time hits, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm watching our Twitch and you have it hilariously off.
Yeah, because Sean hung up. Things. Yeah, the Sean hung up and it wrecked Skype because I should have foreseen this coming. But yeah, there's gonna be some weirdness on the overlay for the Twitch viewers while I fix this.
It's fine. It's bugging me, so I'm just gonna go like that and not look at myself anymore. But yeah, so it has the quick commands in there, which kind of keeps you into the battles. It's not, okay, I'm hitting attack, wait for the animation. It's, you're in it at all times. But the other thing that I very much enjoyed was the difficulty slowly raised up. So I had messaged you at some point basically saying I hadn't died like in the first half of this game. I'm like, okay, this is very simple or whatever. But the second half of this game, the difficulty rises pretty well where each boss that you fight can be quite the test. So I give it that it's like, okay, you really want to beat this game? Okay, let's see what you got. It's not unfair about it, but the difficulty does spike a bit, and that's great. The story is pretty simple. It's the princess has found a treasure map. She wants Mario to go search for the treasure because she got kidnapped by the XONE, who are trying to open this 1,000-year door for an evil power that's hiding behind it. Mm-hmm. You go collect the 7 stars and then you go from there. So you just go from world to world trying to get the 7 stars. I will say one thing I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I don't think it's the biggest knock on the game. But I think the backtracking could have worked a little bit better. Basically, every time you get the star, it ends the chapter, which is fine, which was a great place for me to stop my streaming. But it'll end a chapter, and then when you start, before you start chapter 2, you go see what's going on with Princess Peach, you go see what's going on with Bowser, and then you go back to Mario where he was, and usually at that point you have to go back, you have to travel through the world again to get back to the pipe to go give the star.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they would have skipped that part and then just had you go back to town. I guess they figured you want to do some more exploring, so they're going to leave you there.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm not, like, trying to knock points on it. It was just one of those things I wish they would have trimmed down. Also, the fact that they do fall in the RPG trope a lot of people want to play RPGs for a very long time. We want on the back of our box to say 50 hours of jam-packed RPG action. So let's add in as much filler as we can. So there's a lot of backtracking. There's one point, Wes, that you had mentioned at one point, and when I got there, I just basically, thank God you were there, and just going, go here.
Yeah.
Just go here. Because they don't tell you anything of where to go. They go find this guy. And you go around all these different map parts and chat with everybody, basically, until you find the one person that's seen him. And he goes, you basically are going to every single location, and then you basically find him back where you started.
Yeah.
It's straight up just trying to add gameplay, or adding time, basically. Nothing gets achieved through it. You're barely fighting anybody through the whole thing. It's just a waste of time, basically. But I think I said basically 12 times in that paragraph, so
happens.
I'm turning into you. But yeah, I enjoyed the game. Very much so. The characters are great. The enemies actually had me laughing a lot more than I thought they were.
Yeah.
I know that the humor in Super Mario RPG didn't really hit me as much as I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
I found it more enjoyable than Earthbound as far as humor went. But Paper Mario really hit me in the funny bone a few times when I did not expect it to at all. And I give it credit for that. I mean, it made fun of itself. It made fun of the genre. It didn't take itself seriously. It knew it was just a goofy RPG and it was never going to be more than that.
Yeah, that's more than fair. I think with the Super Mario RPG series in general, they realized, as a whole, we're talking about one of the most beloved icons in gaming in an RPG. There's really no call for it to be a super dark, gritty, Final Fantasy-esque storyline. And I would even argue that the Shadow Queen herself, the final boss of this game, spoiler alert, almost feels a bit out of place simply because it's like, okay, that's rather grimdark for this game, but, it somehow still kind of works.
Yeah, that's your Square Enix touch. Even though they weren't really into this one. Wasn't it Square that helped them do...
Squaresoft was the developer of Super Mario RPG. Full stop.
So I think that was kind of just their touch on this whole series of anytime you play the old Final Fantasy games, it's like, here's your boss, here's your boss, here's your boss. Oh, you beat that boss. Here's the real main boss. And that's kind of the feel I got of it, because you beat the leader of XONE, and then you beat Bowser, and then it's like, okay, now that you've done that, here's the real thing. And here's what you really have to do. I liked a lot of the mini things that you have to do. I didn't really get into a lot of it, just time constraints.
Yeah.
But I definitely, if I have some free time, I actually would probably get into it. And Wes, you can kind of get into more of what they are, but like, there's a whole bulletin board system which had extra side missions in it, which I was very much interested in. Can you go back? So one of the chapters is a big fighting tournament. And that might actually be my favorite chapter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's straight to the point.
Honestly, that chapter was the entire reason I wanted to play this game, because we're both wrestling fans. We've made no secret of it here on the project. Yeah. And that chapter is pretty much, what if Mario was in the WWE? And it's like...
But I like how you have to work your way up the ranks and all that, and then you have all the hidden what's going on behind the scenes stuff. So I think as far as that chapter went, it was the most put together, the most balanced. A lot of action, a lot of different kinds of enemies, which was great. It wasn't just you're fighting the same Koopa Troopa 27 times as you go along. So I really think that I loved that chapter the most. But can you go back and do that more?
You can go back to the Glitz Pit and fight other enemies, yes. I'm not sure. I can't remember if they have any special stuff for you. New enemies you can only fight if you go back. I'm pretty sure it's the same fights, and it's the same random stuff, so when you go back, you're pretty much going to trounce the Glitz Pit.
I got you.
There is I believe the Pit of 100 Trials starts in this game.
Yes, and I have not touched it. I know where it's at. I've walked past it, but it's something I have not attempted to go down yet at all. But that is another thing that you can do in a sideways. So, yes, there's a lot in this game. Again, the characters are great. You get 7 different allies?
Sounds about right. Let's see here. Goombella, Flurry, Koops, Bobbery, Miss Mouse, Vivian, Flurry. I think I might have already said her. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, but each one is interesting, and they add their own unique, not only dialogue as far as you go along, but obviously they all have their own specials with the attack. And that's what I liked about it was anytime that you met an enemy on screen and had dialogue with them, obviously Mario doesn't say anything. So the person that is communicating with them is your ally, and depending on who the ally was kind of how they responded. Yeah. And obviously they all had their own personality traits. So I really enjoyed just going, I have, what do we call him? Backlogger?
Yeah.
A little baby Yoshi.
Yeah.
And he's a trash-talking little punk, and then having the Bomb, where he's really old school English.
Yeah.
Very proper.
I say, old boy.
So I had a lot of fun with that kind of stuff. It was very interesting that every battle was basically on a stage with an audience that you could interact with. The more audience, the more star points you got on different moves. They could throw items or attack you, so it added different elements to it as well. So all in all, I'm actually kind of surprised by Paper Mario, to be honest. I figured it was just going to be another okay RPG that was not as much a cash-in because it's a Mario, but it's not going to go so in-depth. I love RPGs for the story, and I just didn't think the story was really going to be there. And to be fair, it's not. But everything else around it, the goofiness, the easy to understand battle system that still had enough to make you stop and think really got to me. And you can see that if you go back and watch the stream of like the last few bosses, where there were many times where I just stopped and like tried to map out a couple moves of, okay, if I do this now, how is it going to affect this? It was so simple that you really could just stop and go, okay, so I know that they're going to do this, so how am I going to work around it and make it beneficial for me or not destroy my face as often? So
yeah,
full credit to the game for that.
Yeah. I haven't played it in a while, but it's it's probably up there in some of my favorite RPG experiences. For a lot of the reasons you just said, the sense of humor is amazing. The battle systems, it seems really simple at first, but then all of a sudden it's not, because you're sitting there going, okay, I've got all these badges equipped. What if and another thing is, the sense of scale feels is interesting, because in most RPGs you're sitting there, in most RPGs you start off with more HP than Mario will have by the end of the game in Paper Mario.
Yes, absolutely. So it honestly, and I'm okay with that, because there's never any point where it's like, man, I gotta level up to get my HP up. I mean, every time you level up, you can get 5 more HP if you wish. You choose between your hit points, your flower points, which is basically your mana, or your basically your skill points, and you get to choose between which one of those 3 that you're going to add some added number to.
Mm-hmm.
But it never felt like, God, I'm so underleveled. It was very well paced. But you did say how it got a little more complex, and that I do have to say that's how I felt with the puzzles too. Like the puzzles early on was, oh, go find this button. And then later on, it's like, okay, all of the stuff that you've learned, all of these different tricks and abilities that you've learned, now you have to use all of them to get through all these different puzzles, including one big giant chamber where you had to do 7 different things to progress. And that's what I loved. I love puzzles in RPGs, especially ones that make you stop and think. It was really fun to stream this game and have people come on and just basically not even give me 2 seconds to even think of the puzzle. They're like, just go do this. They're like, we want you to move on. Just come on.
Yeah.
But I had a good time with it, and to be honest, I would not mind playing more Paper Mario RPG kind of games.
Yeah.
This one again was a great step up from Super Mario RPG. Obviously, I skipped Paper Mario in there, and maybe I'll go back and do that.
I was about to say, that would be your next step, is the original Paper Mario, because Super Paper Mario is okay, but it's almost more platformer than RPG at times, which is kind of weird.
Oh, actually, that's a great point. The platforming elements that they still keep in this is wonderful. Like, the different things. Obviously, your main attack is jumping, but there's a lot of times where a lot of puzzles are platforming that you have to get through. Or, again, in between chapters, you go and see Peach, who is talking to a computer that is falling in love with her. And then you do the Bowser levels, and then there's like 3 or 4 straight chapters where the Bowser section is your Bowser playing an old school Mario level, and then finding meat and getting bigger, and then you just wreck the whole the whole area. Which I think might be the reason why the new Super Mario Brothers, which I'm guessing came out after the 1,000-Year Door, had the Super Shroom, which made Mario huge, and he could wreck shit. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure New Super Mario Bros. Came out after. Yeah, because New Super Mario Bros. Was on the Wii.
It was on the DS too.
Yeah, but New Super Mario.
The first time the new Super Mario Brothers came out was on the DS.
Yeah, but regardless, it was after 1,000-Year Door. I'm 90% certain.
Probably.
Actually, 1,000-Year Door came out before the DS did, so yeah.
There you go.
So, yeah, you pretty much covered everything I would have to ask. And I then briefly touched on it, too, because I was going to kind of lead you and ask you what your next step was, and you kind of fell into it for me without even me having to ask. But, yeah. I love the Paper Mario RPG series. I've beaten Thousand Year Door, played a little bit of Super Paper Mario. Still need to get around to finishing the original Paper Mario one of these days. I've obviously beaten Super Mario RPG more times than I can count. And you need to finish that game one day, sir, so I can do a replay of it. God damn it.
I know, I'm on the final boss.
Yeah.
I just need to do it. By the way, I didn't do it, so there. Paper Mario.
Yeah. Played Superstar Saga, beat Partners in Time, beat Bowser's Inside Story, need to get around playing Dream Team and Paper Jam when it comes out. I'm excited for Color Splash. Yeah, I'm a fan of the Paper Mario series.
I do wish there's a lot of parts, like, after each chapter that you run into Luigi. And Luigi wants to tell you a story. I always said no, because I didn't want to get stuck in a long text box.
Here's the thing, you missed some of the funniest text in the game.
I figured, but I just wanted to get... I figured it was going to be tight for me finishing this game. But I want a game where you do what Luigi went through, and then you have to meet Mario in between.
Yeah. Well, it's more you talk to Luigi, and he gives this one version of event, and then he's almost always standing next to a partner, and then you talk to the partner, and the partner goes, "Oh my god, Luigi is such a colossal fuck-up. Let me tell you what actually happened, okay?" Like, there's a blooper that at one point Luigi kicked into lava because he was so clumsy, so the blooper is actually, like, deep-fried while he's talking to you on the world map. It's, But, yeah. So, yeah, that's Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door.
So, did you figure out what you made me play?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was Luigi's Mansion.
Ah. So, 2 Mario games that you had me play. And I do have to say that I think this is better than Luigi's Mansion. I enjoyed Luigi's Mansion, but this, I think, by far and away outdid it. So, our audience failed us and went lower down the scale, but you did better, sir. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think we'll segue into the game that I had you play. I think from the little bit that I watched you stream that you're going to say the same thing, because the first time I had you play Limbo, and I thought you were going to love Limbo, and you hated Limbo, and that's okay. Difference of opinion there, but I was surprised you didn't get into that like I thought you would. But here you go, your game, Crash Bandicoot 2, mostly because a fan of my articles on 411, when I get around to doing them, really wanted me to do Crash Bandicoot 2. He really wanted me to do a review, and I can't. It's not on my backlog. I played the holy hell out of this game when it was released. I have 100% of this game. I'm not the backlog.
To be fair, it's not stopping you from doing a retro review of it, even though they're kind of tied to the project, because that's just the way we wrote them. But
since you haven't done one in a while, Wes, I figured I would have you play it.
Hi, Jeremy. How you doing? Oh,
the Friday the 13th episode. So you played Crash Bandicoot 2, developed by Naughty Dog, my favorite company in the world, because they're going to make my life wonderful come Tuesday. It was published by Sony, released November 5th of 1997. Wes, I know you didn't completely finish Crash Bandicoot, the original one, when we did it on a podcast almost a year ago. What did you think of the sequel?
I liked it. I mean, it's more of the same, basically. With incremental improvements, which seems to be Naughty Dog's MO with these series. Is they make a proof of concept that's pretty solid with the first game. They build on it with the second game, and they go from there in the third game, and then they really execute on the third game because Jak 1 was okay, Jak 2, Jak 3, and then
you stop it. Jak 1 was the best one. That was the platformer, and then they went GTA clone with 2, and it was extremely hard, but still fun. And then 3 was great. Yeah. But I just to kind of show you where we've come from, we played Crash Bandicoot 30 episodes ago.
Jesus.
We played it on episode 4.
Wow. That does not feel that long.
Okay, but anyways.
So yeah, basically in this game, you get sucked into Cortex's plans again, and he keeps trying to tell you that he's actually trying to be nice this time and, do good things for the planet, and he needs your help to collect these crystals in each of the levels. So you go through the levels, where you're running up towards the top of the screen, collecting Wumpa Fruit, avoiding enemies, etc., etc. And you find the crystal in each level, beat the level, and store them away to give to Cortex later. Every 5 levels, you meet a boss. It's very much the same kind of formula that from Crash 1. Level wise, there's the levels where you run up towards the top of the screen, and then the chase levels where you're running towards the bottom of the screen while something chases you. There are some side-scrolling levels in this game which were entertaining. I enjoyed the gameplay a lot. I mean, it's an early 3D platformer, so there's not a whole lot of depth by today's standards. I'm sure at the time when it came out, it was like, holy shit, look at all these things you can do. But nowadays, you kind of play it and you kind of go, okay, this is solid.
So before you go on, you're talking about like the 3D and it's early. Do you think it took enough of a step forward from 1 and 2 as far as the gameplay went?
Having not played very much of 1 to be able to make that distinction, I'm going to abstain from answering that question. Because I did not play enough of 1, and I'll be honest here, I have not touched it since episode 4. So that's, 20, this is episode 34, we last played it on 4, so that's approximately 30 times 2 weeks since we last played it. I last played it, excuse me.
It's a little less of that because we had 3 episodes, the Metal Gear Solid month broke down to an episode a week.
Yeah, and that was a 5-week month, so...
Yeah,
okay, but you get it, around a year, essentially.
Yes.
So, it's not fresh enough in my mind for me to be able to go, yeah, this is where things, to make a valid comparison, I guess is where I'm going to go with that sentence. Sure glad I could have, thought that one through a bit better, but, there's a few twists near the end where you're controlling a jetpack with inverted flight controls unless you set it otherwise in the options, which kind of threw me for a loop. And the one complaint I have about this game, because otherwise I enjoyed my time with it. It's a solid platformer. Especially for its time, because, that's Naughty Dog's MO, is they, make pretty decent games that are amazing for their time that still hold up decently, a long time later, and you froze again, Randy. Great. Awesome. There we go. There we go. Sorry, the image sometimes freezes up here on the stream. It's weird. But,
maybe I'm just not moving.
Well, you're still blinking, though, But, anyway, where was I? Son of a bitch. I lost my train of thought. My one complaint with this game. Boss battles. Which seems to be a theme with Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
The boss battles in 2, with the exception of the engine battle, where you're facing off with his mech, all boil down to figure out the boss's gimmick, hit said gimmick 3 times, and you are done. And that's up to and including the final boss, which is Cortex again, because, Crash's sister, Coco, finally hacks into the Matrix, basically takes over the comms and goes, hey, Cortex is actually planning on using those crystals in the Cortex Vortex and turning everybody into zombies, so you may want to stop that, just FYI.
Did you do any of the side stuff?
No.
Okay. So, if you do, I'll just let you know, if you do any of the side stuff and get the extra crystals and stuff, there is an added element to the story that gets revealed, and the true ending happens if you get 100%. Mm-hmm. But there's more to it. But yeah, you basically have said exactly that, and I 100% agree with your assessment of the boss battles. It is the weakness of the Crash series, and again, as you said, Naughty Dog in general, they don't get the boss battles down as well as you would like. It was like most of the levels are so great, and then you get to the boss battle, go, oh.
Yeah. Like, and I even have problems with the engine fight because I feel like it goes so far in the opposite direction that it's kind of jarring. Because engine, you have to sit there for ages shooting away at each of his parts for it to blow up off the ship. And it's just like, there was a middle ground here, Naughty Dog, and you missed it. You know? Like,
just a bit outside.
Yeah. This is veering a little bit off topic, but I think the only real boss sequence I've enjoyed in a Naughty Dog game is David from The Last of Us.
Ah, yes, David. What
yeah. But, you know, like, well, maybe Lazarevich from Uncharted 2, and the final sequence in Uncharted 3 was okay. The final boss in Uncharted 1 can go straight to hell in a handbasket. But,
oh.
But, anyway, back to Crash Bandicoot 2. You know, the music's, you know, good. Nothing exactly to write home about, you know. But it's good for while you're playing. Nothing made me want to go, oh god, I'm muting the stream. You know, even though I did mute the stream, but it was simply because I was farming lives and didn't want to, you know, drive the audience mad with the same level music for a while.
Yeah. Speaking of that.
Yeah.
What happened? Technically, I don't think you beat this game, because you're a big fat cheater.
So.
Deliberate or not, you're a big fat cheater.
So, last night as we record this, so Saturday night, I decided I was going to sit down and finish Crash Bandicoot 2, and I had the last hub world to go because the game's divided into 5 sets of 5 stages. And I got to the very last stage on the very last world, and I just was sucking eggs. And I finally got sick of game overing and having to reload things, so I was like, okay, I'll take a couple minutes and farm some lives, which I'd also done a few times earlier in the stream. Well, I had gotten to the crystal in the final level, and collected it, and then I died and game overed and decided to go...
No. How did you die?
On the crystal?
How did you die after collecting the crystal?
I think I ran off the side of the stage, didn't I?
You walked right off the side of the stage, and then looked at the computer, just like...
Yeah, that just happened.
I just did that.
Yep. Which was a theme on the stream, because, yeah, I was like... For some reason, as the night went on, I was just losing my already very anemic ability to game. I think I was also jazzed up because this is also the birth of what's probably going to become a stream thing now. Like, it's probably going to be one of the emoticons, and it's now going to be my sign off. Like, the sign off picture on streams is I had another one of my finest moments of English to date. I went to say dumbass, and somehow changed the E in that statement to the A in that compound phrase to an E, and said dumb S. Which, of course, the chat immediately jumped on. Thanks, Jack Nitro. And
so
to an extent,
now on, Wes will be known as Princess Dumbass.
Excuse me, it's Head Dumbass. It's right down here below. Just like you are the Slayer of Queens this episode. Yeah, so I died collecting the final crystal, decided to go farm lives, cleared the first level Turtle Woods, and went to go back in when suddenly the game played the "Hey, you got a crystal" animation, and played the final cutscene, which then unlocked the final battle, which I then went to, died a couple times too because I couldn't figured out the gimmick, and then beat. And then credits rolled.
You big fat cheater. I do love, though, if you go back and watch it, you put the clip on YouTube, but you come out of Turtle Woods, and it does the animation, and you just see the crystal disappear. Because it has to go all the way up 5 floors.
Yeah.
to go where it's supposed to go. And it just floats up the screen.
I also kind of love how my reaction is. I'm like sitting there looking, and I'm like, "Crystal? What? Huh?" And then you could just see the realization dawning on my face that I'm about to have a cutscene and unlock the final boss, having not beat Spaced Out yet. Yeah. And I'm like, I break down laughing for a good 30 seconds to a minute. Because it's just like, I was tired at that point. I've already had a couple moments of kind of delirious laughter, and I've got people watching calling me a dumbass, and it was just like, okay, this is happening. I'm sure at some point I'm going to need to go back and actually beat Spaced Out simply to say that I did it, but
you're not going to do it.
I think it's very apropos to have me beat Crash Bandicoot 2 by failing so hard I backed into the final boss fight. Because Crash Bandicoot 2 does have a pretty neat dynamic difficulty system where if you die enough times, the game starts giving you pity Aku Aku Mass, which are an extra hit, or pity checkpoint boxes, or making the things that are chasing you slow down, which I'm sure at every single stage, at every single point in the game, I got at least one of those checkpoints simply because of me being a dumbass and falling off the stage so many times. Excuse me, dumbass. Yeah. But, with all the dying and game overing I was doing during the course of the game, to beat the game by failing so hard the game unlocks the final boss for me without beating the penultimate stage seems fitting.
I was going to make a comment, but we'll get to that later. Would you play the third one?
Probably. And I probably will at some point, simply just because.
Good, because that needs to be a co-play game, because I've never played the third one.
Huh.
Which is weird, because I have 100% of the second one. I played the holy hell out of the second one. Had to play the first one for the podcast, because I never finished it. I've never played a single level of the third one.
Huh, interesting. Well then, I really don't have too much to add about Crash Bandicoot 2. Good, solid game. Wish the boss battles were a bit better. But other than that, pretty solid. Especially for a 1997 3D platformer. So yeah.
So I'm looking through what we've done this year, because we've played a lot of sequels. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the whole thing about Friday the 13th. It had to be a sequel. So out of the games that you finished in 2016, rank your sequels. God of War 2, Kingdom Hearts 2, Crash Bandicoot 2.
I'd probably go Kingdom, Crash, God of War.
I think I figured that's where you would go.
Yeah, and that's not saying that God of War 2 is bad per se. It's just, I
think we said it on the podcast where it was good. It just, I don't think it connected with us as much as the first one did.
Yeah, and especially with the way it was like, with the way they kind of had to restrain themselves a little bit almost simply because they now knew at that point it was going to be a trilogy. Yeah, it was like, okay. Like, I still remember when it was like to be continued in God of War 3, and I'm like, oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the same thing that happened with Halo 2 to 3.
True.
Finish the fight. Alright, so you're done with Crash Bandicoot 2. So well, let's talk about what we're going to do next podcast.
Okay.
And it was going to be something a little different. I guess we'll just kind of spill the beans here.
Yeah.
Where we were going to do something we were going to call the spring cleaning episode, where we're going to go back on these games that we have not finished.
Yeah.
And try to finish them and then talk about them. But it was like trying to sit there and think of how to make that work.
Yeah.
Like, do we try to finish five or six games and then give them all 15 minutes? Or do we just focus on one and then talk about the same thing again? I mean, I've had to do that with Freedom Planet before.
Yeah.
But we skipped out on that. We decided to make it its own episode. But it kind of worked out with some of the stuff that we talked about here on this podcast. So we've done a lot of sequels this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I will continue that theme. And another game that we have played before, well, I played before, and I'm going to look at what episode that was real quick. This was back on episode 10, I played Epic Mickey. So I will be playing Epic Mickey 2, The Power of Two, for the Wii U, one of the few Wii U games out there. I will be playing that for the podcast. You had talked about how the game took pity on you for your terrible platforming. So now you're going to play a game that will take zero pity on you. This is the game that I was originally had you set to play
this episode
for this Friday the 13th before we decided to go the sequel way. You decided to step up, and I love it just for streaming purposes.
Yep.
You will be playing one of my favorite games in the last 10 years, Super Meat Boy. And I will take bets that you do not finish this game. It's like not saying that I'm a better gamer than you. I'm just straight out saying I'm a better platformer gamer than you.
I'm not saying this, but I'm totally saying this.
No. I'm not saying better gamer. Because there are different game types that you would destroy me in. If you and I loaded up a game of Hearthstone right now, you would embarrass the holy hell out of me.
No, I wouldn't. My Hearthstone skills are terrible. My decks are terrible. So,
but there's 4 or 5 or 6 different genres. I'm sure if we sat down right now and played, you would smoke me in, and that's okay. But platforming, that's where I have you beat. I love platforming games. I've beaten Super Meat Boy twice now. I'm slowly trying to 100% it here and there on my PS4 version. It's never going to happen, but I'm trying to get closer. But I just want to see what your death total is at by the end of it, if you are able to finish it, and just some of your reactions to things. So, this Super Meat Boy came from a joke when we played Hotline Miami. How you said the difficulty was unfair because of its randomness. I'm like, well, then play Super Meat Boy because it's super difficult and it has no randomness. So we finally get the chance to play this game, and I'm excited. How do you feel?
Like my doom is impending. But anyway, so that's the 2 individual games. The co-played game is a bit out there. Because I guess we'll spill a bit more of the inside baseball here. A large part of the reason why we were a bit delayed in recording tonight was we were scrambling to figure out how we wanted to do this next episode.
Yes.
And we both kind of had long days today, and our brains kind of were going, well, we could try this, we could move this up from an episode later. Well, I don't have that right now. And then we finally just started looking at, I started, clicking the random button on my backloggery, and you started looking through PlayStation Plus titles, and you just linked this one called MouseCraft that was a PlayStation Plus title. And it kind of looks like a puzzle game, and we both basically just said, screw it, it'll do. So we're going to be co-playing MouseCraft.
Yeah, MouseCraft. A+ title. But
yes.
It works, because in episode 5, you played a game that I was unsure about, Quantum Conundrum, and you ended up absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
So maybe this is what we're going to do with MouseCraft. You never know. And that's what this podcast is all about, playing games that we completely passed up on.
All right.
Right?
Yep. All right. So, that all being said, I'm amazed this episode ran this long. But it is time for the end of this episode of the Backlog Busting Project. We've got Mario Maker Monday coming out tomorrow. Family Fun Friday will be returning eventually.
At some point, I need to get back to it. Getting stuck doing 2 RPGs. That was our bad. But my plan is I go out of town on Friday, so I hope to get some of it done before I leave, so then you can get a hold of it. Whether it comes out this Friday or next Friday, I'm unsure.
Yeah.
That could very much get completely thrown out the window, however, because what is your Twitch looking like it's going to be the rest of the next couple weeks?
I haven't actually
games or...
Oh, you mean what I'm going to be playing?
Yes.
Yeah, probably a lot of those 2 games. Maybe go back to the Uncharted series, because I know where you're going with this. But because I did start playing through the Uncharted series. But yeah, it's probably mostly going to be the games for this episode because I can actually stream both of those games.
Yeah, my goal, obviously this podcast comes out on Tuesday, so a lot of you listening to the podcast will be a little late to the party, but you can always watch our old videos and stuff. But I will be streaming a lot of Uncharted 4 on our channel. I did see on Kotaku that the guy that reviewed it for Kotaku said it was a 17-hour game. Or it took him 17 hours, so I'm excited about that. I also love the fact that he said he put in there, it's a 17-hour game, and he was behind cover for an hour.
Well, yeah, because they put those stats in every single Uncharted game.
But no, I just love that was, he put in 3 stats.
Yeah.
His game time, his cover time, and how many people he killed. Just because I feel like in the first Uncharted, the cover time was a third of the game. And now it is far less than that, so it's good. But yeah, I'll be streaming a lot of it this first week, and then, like you, it'll be a lot of the 2 games that I have to play. But yeah, streaming a lot more. I know Wes is doing it every day. I'm trying to get better at streaming close to every day. I very much appreciate everyone that comes in and hangs out with us, and follows us and chats with us. Big shout out to the people that were helping me play through Paper Mario and giving me tips and tricks and things like that. I very much appreciate it, and it's been a lot of fun, a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be in the first place.
Yeah, that about covers it. Sorry, I agree with the general positive sentiment of that, but I had to take care of something in the channel. Anyway, that is going to about do it for this episode of the Backlog Busting Project. Thank you for listening and watching Mario Maker Mondays, the stream streaks, etc., etc. We will see you and next time, whenever that is. And until that next time, as Will Wheaton always says, play more games. Have a good night.